And you have been protesting over the last couple of weeks, right? What is the view from Parliament, by the way? Because the protest that we've seen on social media talking about fix the country has been positioned in opposition to political leadership, but largely has been a conversation about the executive leadership. What about parliamentary leadership? Because they are your direct representatives in the legislature. And tonight we'll get a sense of what they themselves make of the Fix the Country protest that we've seen on social media, that of course we know there's a plan for it to migrate onto the street shortly. And so welcome to PM Express as we begin to unpack that with our interview tonight from Parliament. And so we're going to get into that, Parliament and you, very shortly. And these are the catalogue of issues. And look closer to the issues that the Fix the Country campaigners have highlighted. And you realize that a lot of it has to go through Parliament, right? We talk about new taxes. Parliament approved it. You talk about the Galamsey fight. There's a committee in Parliament that has been largely silent on this matter, but working, as we know, sometimes with the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources behind the scenes to fix the problem. What role have they played? Erratic power and water supply. Again, what are our representatives' position on this particular matter? Because we've given them the power to represent us on it. Rising youth unemployment, dilapidated health systems, skyrocketing home renting structure, poor road networks, among others. All these issues, you cannot argue the Parliament plays a central role, at least in holding the executive accountable on our behalf. Are they even doing that? We'll get into that shortly with our man. And the parliamentarians themselves, only one had ventured, at least from the governing party's point of view and the leadership side, to speak on this, right? There was a post on his wall. I'm talking about Mr. Nodompre, who is the majority whip, attempted to say something on this, but then that backfired because on his page, it was condescending, downright disrespectful and insulting to the people who were campaigning on social media, and he was forced to apologize, right, as the Member of Parliament. And he says, I would like to apologize for an earlier tweet which failed to convey both seriousness of the times and to capture the essence of what the youth is demanding. That is him appreciating that he got it wrong, right? And I believe that ultimate responsibility lies with the hierarchy of government. Now, when he says the hierarchy of government, what does it mean? Many have interpreted this to mean the executive, but tonight we have to submit. The Parliament themselves have a significant role to play, and he begins to appreciate this when you actually notice what the protesters themselves are doing, because they decided to sort of vary the protest on the campaign on social media, and it went with a hashtag name and shame. The people that started targeting, a lot of them were members of Parliament. A lot of them members of Parliament. Because people started showing in their constituency the bad roads, take pictures of it, the broken infrastructure, and they put against that their Member of Parliament to name him and to shame him. Some of the MPs went public to say, but it's not our job to address these things and to fix them. And well, one in particular, Sam George, got really hammered, trended for a while on social media because he said that. That is factual, some may say, but that's what the people want to hear. We want to get into that dynamic shortly. And many members of Parliament were targeted. Then we saw the Finance Minister come forward with a list of things that they're going to do, committing to address the issues. But there are key questions tonight that we need to ask. One, scrutinizing Parliament's role in fixing Ghana. What is it? What is Parliament's role in fixing Ghana? We'll come to that shortly. Are the MPs delivering? For example, some of the key areas that you can look at this in terms of what Parliament can do. Are they delivering in vetting nominees on your behalf? Because the quality of the people we put in government goes a long way to determining how well they do to fix the country for you. And Parliament has the mandate of ensuring that nobody passes through that gate into government unless the person is qualified to do the job. And they do that through vetting, right? So they do a good job on this. Now, are they holding the executive accountable? Big question, especially where you decided in the last elections to have a hung parliament so they can be more robust in holding government accountable, right? That's a key thing that you declared. through the elections. And so the key question to ask tonight is Parliament doing this? I mean, some say they've really escaped pretty much in this whole conversation about fix the country. We'll bring that conversation to you shortly here on PMS. So stay with me. My guest is in the studio. I told you a lot about what we're going to do tonight. We're going to look at Parliament and you in the midst of all the conversation that we're having with political leadership. My guest tonight is in leadership in Parliament. He is a Deputy Majority Leader, Alexander Fenyo-Marking, MP for Futu. Alex, thank you very much for your time here on PM Express again.
Pleasure.
Great to have you. I'm
happy to be here.
I don't envy politicians anymore. I used to back in the day. But in the midst of everything that's happening right now, many say being in politics is possibly one of the most dangerous, most less appreciated jobs we can ever be in right now. Because all of you have been painted with one brush in the last few weeks, that you guys have simply failed us all, and it's political leadership. Do you get a sentiment when you drive around, when you listen to radio, go to your constituency, that people are just not only disenchanted with you per se, but the whole concept of a politician?
Well, I think it has to do with expectation management, how the people expect the resources of the country to be applied, and their perception about how things are being done. Unfortunately, social media has opened the floodgates and people can do what they're doing. But it is also good because you are able to get the critical feedback to act on it. So I keep saying that, well, we don't have to be all emotional in our response to social media agitation, or rather we take in our stride and look at the critical areas. What the Ghanaian politician has failed to do since 1957 is the ability to communicate the real issues and the consequences. So I'll give you an example. Government has two main sources of generating revenue or getting money. One, tax. Two, borrowing. If you tax, you're taking money from the people. People normally will not want you to take money from them, so there will be agitation. But that money, you are taking it for development, to fix the road, to build the schools, to pay for tuition fees and all that, pay public sector workers, provide social services, water, electricity. If you borrow, you are using it for the same thing. And then people will say, oh, debt to GDP is high. Yet there's so much debt, you are borrowing too much and all that. But you are using it to serve the people. So, when people say fix the roads, and they also say you are taxing them, where are you to get the money? So I'm sure if we had communicated well, whatever decision we take, they will meet us halfway. But there's also another matter, perception of corruption, the perception of abuse of public resources. The real or the perception that there is leakage in the system. So it's like, we don't believe you.
But those are facts, not perception, isn't it?
Oh, that's why I situated. I'm saying that. I am saying that whether it is real or perceived, if it is real, as in the evidence of same, I don't want to get into the realms of legalities. That's so. For now, let me hold that view of perception for the purpose of this argument. All right? Then let us also move again to the next point. Struggle for political power. So obviously you would have opponent hitting at situations where at the end of the day long-term benefit will be for the people. So issue of Galamsey. I know as chair of Ghana Water that if care is not taken, in the next 10 years minimum, we will not get potable water to drink. Yet it has become a partisan political issue.
No, but the politicians failed on this.
I'm saying that it is an example of the challenge, whether a politician from within the governing party or a politician from without.
It's an example of political failure in political leadership.
It cannot be. I wouldn't say that. You see, you have the political will to get a thing done. Getting it done, implementation, is another matter. And I'm saying that where you have political opponents holding you hostage.
How?
Combined with perhaps people who feel that, oh, I am a member of the governing party. Therefore, when there is a full-scale enforcement, I would want to use my relationship to, get away. And that there are challenges with implementation. I am saying that it becomes worrying.
No, but it's not.
Well,
if you decide to accede to those demands, then you're failing as a political leader.
Well, if government was acceding to that, government wouldn't have re-echoed that fight. Today, you see the minister going again, frontal, straight to the point.
Even the fact that you're doing it now is an admission that you failed before.
Not necessarily. Not necessarily.
Because if you continually sustained it over the last 4 years, we won't be where we are today. That you have to relaunch a campaign.
Well, when you start something and you get challenges along the way, you re-strategize. So take it that as a new strategy to get the thing done. The president is passionate about it. I am saying that it is one way. Somebody says that I need food on my table. If you stop me, I won't vote for you. But you seeing that the long term, in the long and short of it is that as politicians, we should be able to communicate well the situation. Let the people see that, okay, you are serving them and you are giving your all.
Are you giving your all? Are politicians politically giving your all?
Listen, my brother Evans, start from 1992. NDC politicians, MPP politicians. Ask yourself, how many of them, when you are in office, the perception that, oh, you've stolen money, oh, you are rich. Find out how many of them, even recently, when NDC left office, some of their MPs, some of their deputy ministers, those who left parliament in 2020, 6th of January, look out for them in this government.
Are you saying they are paupers?
I am saying that the perception that people enrich themselves.
They do.
I'm saying, allow me to express my view. I'm saying that the perception that people enrich themselves is not really the situation.
It's not?
It's not really the situation.
What's the evidence to counter that?
Do you have evidence to show that from 1992, ministers, deputy ministers, appointees of government across board are all over leading affluent lives?
They have evidence of people, as we've seen, building houses.
You can mention them?
Some whilst in government, some out of government. You say you haven't seen any of these.
I am saying.
Your government is currently prosecuting some. The previous government did. Kufuor's government prosecuted so many of them. Some of them were convicted and jailed. That's evidence.
You see, if you are looking at limited situations, say so. I'm saying that largely, we're talking about the general perception across board. You ask the question, whether or not politicians are really serving their country.
Giving their all. That's
giving their all, yeah. Sure. And I'm saying that largely, because as a member of parliament, my brother, I won't speak for NDC, I won't speak for MPP. I'm talking about MPs. The pressure. You do everything. All right? People even borrow to provide services for their constituencies. People borrow against their salaries to provide services. It is true. Sometimes they even talk about end of service benefit. People use that even ahead of time to provide social services. It may not be enough. And I'm saying
the ex-gratia may not be enough.
I am saying that I'm saying that the support may not be enough. But people do it. People are paying school fees. People are training people in vocational training. They are giving the little they can to support their constituents. You don't come into office and expect that you would have it all rosy. No. You need to look for resources to meet the expectation of your people. And I can say here that the Ghanaian politician does not get into office as a member of parliament, at least, to sleep. Sometimes the inability to get all things done may result in you losing out at elections.
But the Ghanaian politician gets into politics largely, as we've seen, to feed fat on the people. At least that's the perception out there.
Even that is why I'm sure we are on this table.
I mean, that's a believer that you do that.
100% I hear.
So I see some of my colleagues who immediately get into parliament, they're driving a big V8. You could never have afforded that if it was.
The V8 is not his personal V8. It's for his official use.
But I mean, we'll talk about those who are ministers. I'm talking about MPs.
Yeah, I'm saying that it's for official use.
When is it official use? How do you mean?
Because it is not for free. It is not that it's been bought for you, that it is a gift. You are using it for official purpose, all right? And even so, it is against your income, your salary. Look, if you are a member of parliament, on your own, you have your small car. You need to tour your constituency. The strength of your small car cannot. So it is part of the office. It shouldn't be seen as, oh, he just went into the office. He is now living in a life of ease and pomp. No. To provide services, to serve you, you need certain facilities. If those facilities are not available, you cannot serve the people. For instance, if the president has no motorcade and he has to drive through traffic, driving through traffic is a nuisance. People get irritated. Sometimes people will not even want to give space. Why? A minister of state must go to a program, attend a function. You need a motorcade, you need some space. People don't like it. But the point is that if you don't have some of these facilities available to the office, you can't function effectively.
So I think you agree that as far as the people's commitment to make your lives comfortable, politicians and those in executive comfortable, the people have kept their end of the bargain. They pay your salary, they give you your cars, they put you in nice homes. Some of you don't pay taxes. They say they've kept their end of the bargain. Can you say that the politicians that we have currently have kept their end of the bargain to the people?
Largely. The point here is the reconciliation. I have said, and I've admitted, that our lack of courage to explain issues and meet the expectation of the people is one big problem.
It's not a communication problem.
It is.
People are feeling the bad roads, lack of water. Right. It's not a communication problem.
All right, so let me explain to you. If I go to a Futu today and people complain of bad roads, people complain of lack of water and all that, and I'm able to tell them what effort I've put in place, what intervention government has done in certain areas, and why this has delayed. Say you expect to have 20 kilometers of road constructed, but we've done 5. You explain what the issues are. I think that if they have a perception you are doing nothing, they will realize, oh, okay, let's go along. I am saying that the real challenges that we face, perhaps, we haven't explained them well.
But you don't have to explain to me when I can feel the bad road. I'm driving on it. I'm sleeping in darkness. I don't have water.
Okay, so
it's explanation what I need.
Evans, have you lived with an old lady before?
I have. I grew up with my grandmother.
With your grandmother, good. So you know how our grandmothers behave. The thing is that they will explain to you that, look, this is what is there. And the posture, the facial expression and all that, you would understand her and live with it.
I won't in your case because when I'm driving abroad, you are coming with a V8 that you don't feel the bad road. I would not appreciate. My grandmother was, I understand, because we are both hungry.
So you don't need.
We are both hungry. So in your case, I see you drive your V8 past the road and it's nice.
So that is why.
Disconnect.
So that is why it has to be explained. It comes back to the issue of communication. The Ghanaian voter would have to be aware or must know that the political leader needs certain facilities for the purpose of governance. 2, the Ghanaian voter needs that assurance that whatever resources that are there are not being wasted, are not being abused, and there are no leakages. I think that the problem is about the leakages, their perception that, look, they can do better. They are not doing it. And I'm also saying that, yes, it could be true. But if you go a step ahead,
be or is true.
I am saying that it could be true. I mean, whatever. We are being hypothetical.
No, but can we speak facts?
We are being hypothetical.
Thankfully, you're a member of parliament, so you see the problems in first hand. A lot of the problems, we're not talking about allegations anymore. We're talking about real challenges we have as a country. These are facts that we do have many challenges that the politicians have failed to fix. In fact, the physical country people ask the question, what is it in this country that doesn't need fixing? Can you give them any?
Okay, so...
They say everything needs fixing.
Wait, let me make this point. 2016, in real terms, this government campaigned on certain key issues. One was that we have a chunk of our population lacking education at the secondary level. So government said, look, instead of oil revenue, other revenue going into some other areas, we would introduce a social intervention program called Free SHS. So the issue of ignorance, the issue of people not able to afford secondary education was fixed, and it's being sustained. Of course, there are challenges. 2, people in teacher training, nursing training, saying that we need our allowances to survive was a concern. Government promised, it delivered. Electricity and water. Ghanaians say, look, it's too expensive. Please reduce it. The previous government said, no. The situation is such that we cannot. This government said, we will do it. In opposition. When they came, they kept faith. What did they do? They reduced 17% plus for households. Corporates also got the same benefit. Over a period, we again got reduction. COVID came. If you look at our economy, we're on a sustainable growth path. All the variables, the fundamentals were showing positive. Then the COVID and its ambivalence hit us hard. What did government do? With all the limited resources, government boldly first to secure public sector jobs. No Ghanaian public sector worker lost his or her job. No Ghanaian public sector worker within the period to date can say that government owes me 2 months of salary. Within the same period, government continued to recruit. Ministry of Education, thousands were recruited. Nurses, thousands were recruited. Still, we have a backlog. So in the area of public sector, government took some bold decisions to mitigate and ensure stability. Water and electricity, of course. The free water that was introduced, government took the cost. At least at Ghana Water, we were told don't take the bills. And government, Ministry of Finance was getting the money so that we could pay our workers. Electricity, we enjoy some further rebate. It may not be enough. So I'm saying that those major efforts were made. Let's come to the private sector, which is key. A lot of the youth after school are looking forward to public sector employment. Government looked at it and said, look, the private sector needs intervention. What should we do? Start with that orientation, private sector orientation. One district, one factory. Encourage a lot more of people to do something for themselves. So you have the EXIM facilities available for people who have the existing business, want to revamp it to get access to facilities. Government again says, look, for those who want new businesses, these are the opportunities. We have real situations in Central Region, Ashanti, Bono, we have it there. You know the Development Bank has been established. Government is raising money. What is the focus? To help the Ghanaian private sector. So that we open up the private sector space. Look at what happened in the planting for food and jobs. Largely was successful. I won't say food prices haven't gone up, but you and I know if we do any research at our marketplaces, though it's been going up, but the rate at which people would go to market today, it is 1 cedi, the next day is 2 cedi, because of the planting for food of jobs that our farmers were able to produce. There has been relative stability. I'm not saying we've not had increases in prices. What is lacking is processing. So I am looking forward to this Obatampa initiative, rolling out real opportunities for the Ghanaian youth who has completed school to tap into it. If we are able to do processing, we don't rely on the primary produce, but we say that let's turn it around. Jobs will be created. And I am looking forward to a situation whereby this will not be a talk. And let me put in the caveat here, Evans. Let's be bold about it. And I said this thing on your sister station, Asempa Radio. In the past, all the interventions that government introduced for the benefit of the Ghanaian, same became a vehicle of abuse. But Rawlings by Ghanaians, it's a fact. Rawlings is a poverty alleviation fund. Kufuor's Maslock, Atamil's Maslock.
Who was abusing it?
I have mentioned.
But that who were the Ghanaians? Which category of Ghanaians?
I mean, I'm saying that for those in the past who benefited from
NYEP,
interventions from government, did we see same being sustained?
But that's a problem with political
leadership.
So
I am coming there. I'm coming to the point. I'm coming to the point. To present day Maslow, we must, whilst we are getting government, sit up. You are fixing, but we want you to do more. Let us also look at how we can collectively change the system.
When is this system? Are you talking about the citizens?
All of us. Okay, so I'll give you an example. Let me talk general. Let me talk for myself. I'm a private sector person. You know Silver Star? When we came 2017, I guaranteed. They gave me 30 brand new Suzuki. 30 brand new Suzuki. I bought them. I took them to Winneba and reduced the costs. I took a certain percent out, and I said, look, take it without deposit. Do work and pay. Yes, work and pay. Because it is MP, all right, who is facilitating, driving this. The youth took it. Many of them will not even do sales. Meanwhile, if they had done it and done it well, within a year, they would have finished paying. Year 2, they could have earned enough money to buy a second car. You sit with them. This is a situation of a good policy that would have benefited many more.
That's some of your conditions abused.
If it was abused. Agbo moto, fishermen. You get an agbo moto guarantee. Government will guarantee for fisher folks. Get it and pay. Small. A fisherman would build his house and will not pay for the agbo moto.
So you're making the argument about attitude of the Ghanaians.
I am saying that whilst we are looking at this space, let us have an all-inclusive look.
Let me ask you a question.
Evans, if you allow me to make, because this discourse must be open, and we have to get the construct right.
Make it.
Then I talk about agbo motos. The person has taken. He prefers after getting money, go through another person to deposit for a second one without having to pay for the first one. Political patronage. If today my youth organizer somewhere say I facilitate an opportunity for him, he sees it as a political favor. So to utilize opportunity for it to be sustained is a problem. I am, in a nutshell,
your point is
making the point that whilst we want our leadership to do more, when the opportunities, the little ones, also come to us as a people, we must ensure we sustain it. Because you see, liquidity, when it goes and it doesn't come, It blocks.
Question. So you've listed the things that you believe the government is fixing. The campaigners say that in spite of all that, they believe that you're falling way short. Are they justified in saying that?
Listen, they have a legitimate expectation from
that you've created.
I am saying that any Ghanaian who agitates, who holds any view that government is not doing enough, is justified. COVID is creating a lot more frustration. People cannot see their future. They can't see their left from their right. They believe that government can do more. So to me, there's nothing wrong with they asking for more.
Talking about more, one of the biggest things they've asked is politicians, both in parliament and executive, must also tighten their belt. Specifically, you must take pay cuts, give up your ex gratia, because one of the key things that will pay taxes if you must, and stop buying all these V8s and put the money into life-saving measures. Do you back that though?
Okay, so let's
politicians sacrifice more.
Okay, so let's look at all of it. We have the judiciary.
No, they're not talking about the judiciary. They're not talking about the judiciary. They're talking about political, executive leadership and members of parliament.
They have made a point.
Yeah.
I'm saying that let's broaden the construct so that we can get it.
But their question is not broad to judiciary. They're asking specific to the elected leadership. Elected leadership.
The elected leadership is part of government. No.
But
so you are saying, hold on.
That's not your demand.
Okay, so hold on a second. You are saying a justice of our courts must have a car, must have security, must have all other services, must have ex gratia, must have his pay. All right.
And the benefits, yes.
Good. The politician, because he is elected,
yes,
must not have any of these. Chief executives of public institutions must have their pay and everything. I am saying that if for instance, you don't have a vehicle to go to your constituency, what do?
Yeah, you go. But before you came to parliament, what were you driving?
Okay, so you should have your personal car.
Find your
own car.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, it's a debate we should.
No, but you haven't answered the question.
No. So you are saying
our politicians, you should take pay cuts. Are you ready to take the pay cut?
We should look at it generally. If public office, public office.
No, they're talking about.
I am saying
it's a broad concept.
Yes, so let's
narrow down to.
Then who achieve much?
Elected public officers.
My view is that. My view is that if you limit it to elected politicians,
I'm not.
I am saying.
View out there.
So we are having that discussion. So my colleagues
what is the challenge with staying with elected leadership?
I am saying that I don't have a problem, but if you limit it to elected leadership, it would achieve nothing.
No, okay. Why wouldn't it achieve?
Because the amount.
No, but they don't care. They don't care. But they elected you. They didn't elect anybody else. Do we want solutions? I am saying that let us rather look at a general cuts. They've had that, but that's not what they want. We want the political leadership, elected leadership, to show that they identify what the people are going through. And you're asking, take pay cuts, stop buying all these V8s. Are the politicians willing to do that? Let's start with members of parliament.
If we situate it in a proper context, so that we know where we are going. If we go about it emotionally, then we may be compelled to give emotional answers.
Yeah. But what is your answer? You haven't answered.
I've explained in real terms.
Is that a fair demand?
And I will repeat.
Is that a legitimate demand?
I will repeat to you that if you want to limit it to elected politicians, I'm sorry.
Elected public officers.
You want to make savings. Is that not the main reason is to have savings? No, it's not about savings.
Yeah, I mean,
it's not about savings.
It's beyond that. It goes beyond that.
To look at public sector It okay? So that you can achieve some.
I'm narrowing the question.
If you want to limit it to politicians, so let's look at this.
So is the argument that if we say all public officers should take a pay cut, then you are willing the politicians?
I've not said so. I'm just trying to clarify. I am saying that if we broaden it, it will help. However, for the purpose of argument, let's stay to the specific call.
Yeah.
So, somebody at Pusiga constituency, she has no or he has no V8 to travel to constituency. You need your MP. His or her own car cannot do that journey. So he's in Accra. Would you be happy not seeing your MP? Or that you want, anytime the MP would have to come to Connie, must hire a car? Who pays? That would be expensive for the state. Or he should use his money to pay if he doesn't have. Unless the argument is that before you become a politician, you want to get into an elected office, have your own money before.
Yeah.
If you cannot afford to serve us with your own resources, then don't come. I don't think that is the argument.
When the finance minister read the budget, one of the headline calls was burden sharing. We are in difficult times, COVID, etc. Pay taxes, pay, etc., etc. And so the call is citizens must also bear their part of the burden and tighten their belt. What is the political elected leadership's contribution in that burden sharing? What are you willing to also sacrifice in this period of paying for everybody else?
Well, first of all, what does a Ghanaian politician benefit?
Ex gratia for yourself when you're going. As I said, a lot of the politicians in the executive leadership will have V8s fueled by the taxpayer. They get paid. They have security, as we've all said. Many of them probably won't pay the taxes that I paid, pay electricity. All that.
No.
All that. It's a broad scope.
That politicians don't pay electricity. Is that what you just said?
Some.
Who doesn't?
Some. They live in bungalows where the state pays for the electricity bills and water as well.
No, is it limited to politicians? You see,
I'm saying
if we don't.
I mean, I'm asking a very specific question. But you want to extend it. I'm asking a very specific question.
If, as part of this program, we don't also use it to do education.
I get it. I get what you're saying. But I'm asking. With all due respect, I think my audiences understand the broader conversation about public office holders and everybody else. But they also understand that there is that category of people within that broad umbrella who we elected. And so for them, we hold a certain higher degree of exacting of accountability from them. We don't disagree.
That's correct.
That is why my question is on that group. And I'm saying that the question again is, you have told us, the political leadership, that we all need to burden share. My specific question is, what is the elected executive political leadership in Parliament and elsewhere willing to sacrifice? I just name a few.
What are the benefits?
I named a few.
Like?
Are you willing to take a pay cut? Are you willing to forgo your ex gratia, for example? Are you willing to give up the buying of more V8s for deputy ministers who will be coming to your committee to be vetted? We're talking about that shortly. Are they willing to forgo that?
Well, to the extent that having these things will not amount to luxury, forgoing them shouldn't be a problem. So to me, anything that amounts to luxury, the Ghanaian politician should be ready to forgo. For anything that is a necessity for the purpose of the office, forgoing means that holding hostage your own ability to serve your people well. Simplicity.
I want to take a break. When I return, Afenyo Maken is a deputy leader in Parliament, deputy majority leader. So we're going to talk a lot about Parliament, his own work in his constituency, and how he's making this combination. You remember before this year, he was just a member of Parliament. Now he has an additional responsibility of being a leader. I wonder how he's making that combination, serving his people. And then he has a big role in appointments committee and leading Parliament. We're going to get into all that. This is the bread and butter for him, by the way. And so I'm curious to hear a few of his thoughts on those very important issues. Stay with me. My My guest in the studio is Alexander Afenyomarkin. We're getting this is Parliament and you, by the way. I mean, this is a parliamentary perspective on all the conversations you've been having over the last 2 weeks on social media and, you know, almost hitting the streets also. Let's go to Parliament, Mr. Afenyomarkin. He's the Deputy Majority Leader. There is, when you return next week, originally was scheduled, are you still coming next week?
We're coming 21st.
21st.
Yes.
You have a lot of work to do in vetting deputy ministers, but also there is a nomination of a new senior special prosecutor that will come before you. Let's talk about that special, because you're a lawyer, so I'm curious to hear your thoughts on this. Kise Jabin has been nominated. Marty Amidu says he's too friendly with some of the key players in the MPP. You mentioned Galamsey, Richard Darko. Some of you said he's too young. Anti-corruption campaigners say he has no track record in that field. Do you share their concerns there?
Well, the person has been elected, has been nominated for the office. I believe that, to be fair to him, once we have no reason to doubt his competence and his academic qualification for that office, we should give him a fair opportunity. Fortunately, we have a vibrant civil society advocacy system in Ghana that would do the checks and balances. So yes, but in so doing, we also would have to be measured. Other than that, we end up doing what I call abusing that liberty of criticizing people, and you'll be doing so unjustifiably. Well, I wasn't expecting Mr. Amidu to say what he said about him. I mean, we all have friends. We have classmates. We relate to people and with people. Therefore, let the person get into the office, keep an eye, and if something goes wrong, then you are able to relate. Other than that, nothing can go on in this country. I mean, today, I met a very prominent Ghanaian who was telling me that somebody in MPP was his mate at Legon, and they were friends, and they formed a company. And these are people from 2 different political parties. All right. So he's been appointed. Let's do the vetting. Let's see what comes out of him. Let Parliament take a decision. He takes office.
How much value will you place on track record? This is largely an anti-corruption fight. Ghana's foremost anti-corruption crusader. How much value will you place on the track record?
It's not about anti-corruption fight and track record. The office requires a lawyer. The office provides for certain qualifications, very essential for holding that office. Does he meet those qualifications? If he does, give him the opportunity.
This is the bare minimum criteria you're using then?
Well, it should be so. That's what the law states.
Okay.
What else do you want to look out for?
Let me ask you something that many have murmured about, and now that you heard quickly before we go to your constituency. There's a belief that in Parliament, this divide between the loyalists of Alanche Mante and Akufo-Addo has divided your front, and that there are people who are loyal to Akufo-Addo, loyal to Alanche. You must have heard this, Brumo.
I've not heard.
You haven't?
I have not.
Oh, but that has.
I'm hearing it. I'm hearing
that there are folks.
I am hearing it.
That folks and among your.
I am hearing it from you for the first time.
You haven't.
I say.
You're a very astute politician.
I say to you, verily.
So
you are saying it to me for the first time.
There isn't a sense among your ranks of where the succession plan in the MPP.
In what sense? What does it mean?
The current president is.
Look, we have an elected government, barely 6 months into office. Even government hasn't finished, its appointment. Deputy ministers are not in yet. Chief executives and boards, DCs, MCs are not in office yet. I mean, we are not done, government is not done with the appointment. Why must you be thinking about succession?
But people are campaigning already.
I have not seen. I have not heard.
You haven't heard the people are campaigning.
Who and who?
The party has come out.
Who and who?
Well, we had at least one person had come out to issue a statement. The Agric minister who issued a statement with his campaign posters all about saying that people who are campaigning on my behalf cease.
Yes, so because he's telling you that he is not campaigning. So if you want to use his name for any agenda, you want to destroy the party. Look here, there is job to be done. When the fundamentals are right, when everything is fine, all right, winning is a bonus. And I was privileged to have been part of a meeting that looked at the code of ethics. It's not only limited to presidential, it's generally code of ethics for party members, how we should conduct ourselves. If you have ambition, it is right to have an ambition, but ambition must be well situated and must be guided. If we don't guide that ambition, you end up getting all emotional and destroying everything that is of value to the fraternity. So the party is looking at its interests. And the time to talk about presidential ambition, it's not now. Because we are just 5 months in, and Ghanaians are even saying that, look, we have concerns, fix them. So it will be out of place for somebody to openly be looking out for who is my man and who is not my man. What all of us should be looking out for is how the good people would have trust and confidence
so they can
in our party.
Break the 8
then when the time comes, because obviously the average Ghanaian knows that the NDC can do better than MPP. I mean, the average Ghanaian knows that.
Like when
the average Ghanaian has a higher expectation.
That is the biggest contest in every December 7.
The Ghanaian has a higher expectation in MPP. So it's for us.
And this based on?
Well, because the belief is that the MPP, has a combination of talent.
But how did you come to that?
No, that has been, I mean, I didn't ask you how you came by to use your views and perceptions.
Let me ask you.
I'm telling you the views out there.
You are now in leadership in Parliament. How are you combined? I mean, because I made a point. I mean, before this year, you were a simple member of Parliament, 100% focused on the constituency. Now you're in leadership. You have to go for a lot of meetings, steer, especially in the architecture of this new parliament, which is largely, split down the middle. Are you getting time for your constituents?
Evans, confession is difficult. My friend Isibe Yeboah has this saying that be careful what you wish for. When I was campaigning in 2011, I didn't understand why my Kama was always out there was not coming to constituency until at least it dawned on me that when you get into parliament, even without leadership responsibility, sometimes going to constituency is a problem. Last Saturday was a typical example. I attended a Masonic meeting, installation meeting. We closed at midday. There were 2 big funerals in Winneba. 2 big funerals. My chairman was calling me, Chief, you have to be here. Because this was a guy, in Winneba, this chieftaincy thing, he was on the other side of the chieftaincy divide and an MPP, his family members were on him, and he fought for the party. Then they said we should go to President Kufuor's house to have banquet. The National Security Minister said, Afenyo, you have to go. We are all going. I said, Mr. Minister, you are not a member of Parliament. So I won't go. I'll go straight to Winneba.
So you went to
I went to Winneba. Yes. And then during the vetting, there were times, you realize that the times that leader will complain. Makina, yes, I want to say, Mr. Leader, if you leave Winneba, you'll be in trouble. Because sometimes I will look at it, the person coming, it's not a problem. Let me rush to Winneba and come. So sometimes you may be carried away to concentrate on other matters of national importance.
How are you making their lives better with this stress?
It is difficult. I mean, because I am lucky because Winneba is just an hour drive away. But what of other people from up north, western north, But I learned something from Harry Nedrusu. His Fridays are in Tamale. So I said to myself, if this is the minority leader, and I'm told, I asked around, that in his days as trade minister, he would not sacrifice his constituency for anything. He would make sure he spends his weekend with them as regular as possible. Then I should try that. Because people want to see you. People want you to attend their funerals. People want you to attend the naming ceremonies. Now that there is social media, people want you to spend time responding
to their WhatsApp message.
To the WhatsApp. Sometimes you have 1,000. Midnight, you'll be on the bed. You have to respond. If you don't respond, he would hit you hard. That you even read and you ignore. So the situation has changed. So you need to have more commitment. And I think that's also another thing that requires some facilities and structures in place. You see, you were talking initially about we must take some cuts. MPs don't have offices in their constituencies. They don't have research team. They don't have an administration that will take care of things. Yet, the people expect certain things to be done. So, we have to look at it broadly. When we are campaigning, we ourselves will tell them that we want to fix their roads. But the MP, per the constitution, you are not to fix the road. It's a government responsibility.
What have you managed to do?
But we have said so.
In tangible terms.
Well, I have focused on 3 areas: education, security, health. And of course, the icing on the cake, the private sector thing. I'm a businessman and I love private sector initiatives. I see Winneba as a place to serve as the gateway to Central Region. When I was engaged,
but it actually is physically.
It should be very well. Thank you. Economically, in the Gold Coast era, it was a major trading post, and I thought that the university could have helped us through corporate social responsibility, local content, to help the local economy to grow. But they failed me. People didn't understand me, so I said nowhere. I would proceed. So through my initiative, the affordable housing project started in Efutu. You need to come to Jahaze and see for yourself. We moved on to getting libraries for our kids. Health facilities had to be improved. Getting clinics in various communities. And today we have a divisional police command because we have police.
If we had to, I'm going to ask you, this is how you manage to do all this on your meager salary. It's
meager salary.
It's not
but
meager.
I need to. But hold on, as a private sector person, if you are earning 15,000 Ghana cedi or 12,000 Ghana cedi, I've not checked my payslip for a long time.
Okay.
I will check it. But I'm saying that if you're a member of parliament, and you have so many responsibilities, and your paycheck is say 10,000 or 12,000 Ghana cedi, 12,000, 10,000 Ghana cedis, and you have 3 people coming with their school fees of 2,000 cedis each, and every weekend you have to meet certain obligations in the constituency. Come think of it. But it is good people are holding us accountable. If you good, Ghanaians don't want to hear about Ghana is better than other West Africa countries.
But is that what you're
Ghanaians, no, we don't need to.
I'm grateful
Ghanaians
that you
want
joined
to
me.
know how we're doing, and we should do it better. And I support that call.
That is Alexander Nathaniel Mark. And enjoy the rest of your evening. I think you've gotten the parliamentary view on these conversations.